Greetings, Judah. DFG at Gideon's Flight. Hey guys, gonna be pretty brief, I think. Hey, I just wanted to just kind of talk, or share with us something that's on my mind, on my heart, as it relates to what our relationship with Elohim should look like versus, many people who profess to believe in Elohim. Their misinterpretation of what the relationship with Elohim should be like. And it kind of brings to mind almost like Elohim, they serve Elohim at their leisure. Now, you know what that means when someone is doing something at their leisure? That means, when I got time, when I'm not busy, not when I'm not focused on myself and the things that I need to be doing, then I'll give, my relationship with Elohim a minute or two. So they serve him, in leisure. But in truth, you can't serve Elohim in leisure. Our book tells us that you're either hot or cold, which means all the way in. Hot or cold is, it brings to mind how steel is how iron becomes steel, or how clay becomes steel. They have to heat it up, then they have to cool it off. They have to heat it up and they have to cool it off. I'm talking about to make steel, real solid steel, not metal, steel. Because when you serve Elohim in your leisure time, it's like metal, a spoon, a fork. You know what I'm saying? You can bend it, you can break it, you know what I'm saying? Quite frankly, outside of its single purpose, it can't do anything but maybe lift up something light enough to put in your mouth. Or maybe stir around, in a bucket or a pot or a pan, etc. So in other words, it's a dilated, weak, emasculated, you know what I'm saying? Just a really, it's almost useless except for vanity. Where when you're looking at, steel is a foundation for buildings. Steel is a foundation that's placed in, automobiles. It's really, if you want something to be secure, you want something to last, something that's going to endure over the course of time, it's going to have, if it's something that man is building or using, again, for protection, to provide cover, etc., then you're going to need steel. In other words, it's got to have that heat and it's got to have that cooling or cold. And that's the relationship that the true believer, or those who understand the expectations of Elohim, that's the relationship that they have established. That's what Elohim was talking about when he talked to the church and said, you were neither hot nor cold, therefore I spew you out of my mouth. In other words, he was saying that you cannot serve Elohim. We cannot serve Elohim at our leisure. Elohim has to be something that is constant with us. Just as oxygen. You know what I'm saying? Eating, drinking, I'm talking about, water and things, juices, things like that to nourish your body. It's a constant thing for survival. And our relationship with Elohim has to be that kind of constant. If you want to be seen of Elohim, if you want your prayers to be heard of Elohim, if you want Elohim to be the light, that guides you through your darkness, then your relationship has to be like steel with Elohim. It can't be like, metal, plastic, things that over a period of time rust, corrupt. And unfortunately, that's how most of the so-called believer, and I only say you're a so-called believer if you believe that way. In other words, if Elohim is someone that you turn to in your leisure, then that's your relationship. Your relationship is at your leisure relationship. Because if it was genuine, he would constantly be on your mind. Every important decision that you make, you would consult Elohim before you made that decision. Because you understand the importance of it's got to last. I mean, think about it. What important decision that you make that's not important? I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but the truth of it, it is. What important decision, sister, brother, you have to make that's not important? What important decision? The very essence, the very reason that you called it important is because it is important. So that means you need it. You're dependent upon it. It is necessary for you. Your relationship with Elohim has to be reflective of that. If Elohim is the place you turn when you got a problem, when you're afraid, because it's one of these, holidays. And let me emphasize again to you, it's coming out to Halloween. A lot of you are calling yourself believers in your leisure, because that's you're going to celebrate Halloween. Yeah, you're going to call it some other name. You're going to call it Harvest Night or something, but it's the same thing. You're just putting sugar on poop. It's the exact same thing. You're deceived, and you're deceiving others. Even your children, if you're participating in those holidays. Halloween, wicked. Thanksgiving, wicked. Christmas, wicked. New Year's, wicked. Even birthdays, wicked. Valentine's Day, wicked. Mother's Day. All these things were created by the heathen gods to distract you, to have you depending upon those things instead of looking to Elohim for your true provision, for your true happiness, for your guidance, for your own value. In the book of I think it's Psalms, and I want to say it's Psalms 37, but it says that we were all of us were beautifully and wonderfully made by Elohim. So if we're beautiful and we're wonderful, if we're a beautiful, wonderful creation of Elohim, why do you need validation from men through their holidays? See, that's the question that you don't ask. Why do you need validation from men from their God holidays? And that's what these days compete with Elohim. Little e Elohim's competing with big E, almighty Elohim. And again, you have Halloween coming up, and many of you are going to participate. You're looking forward to it. Same thing with Thanksgiving. Some of you who stopped celebrating it and you turn back, and I'm sure you're looking forward to celebrating it now. Or you say, I'm not celebrating, I'm just going to go over to visit. Once you go in the temple where those festivities are happening, you are partaking in it. I don't care if you're just sitting on the sideline watching. If you're there, you're a part of it. When Elohim says, come out from among them and be you separate, love not the things of this world, that means the holidays included, your birthday, all that. Say, love not the things. If you have the love of those things in your heart, Elohim is not going to dwell inside of you. But back to, what does that relationship look like? Daniel was a classic example of that. If you go back and read, I want to say it's the early chapters of Daniel, maybe chapter 2, 3, and you see Daniel, in the three, Hebrew boys, what they call them, our cousins, we'll say that, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They were all confronted by the king, then the king told them that they needed to eat the king's bread. There was a decree. A decree is a mandate. There was a mandate that you need to eat the king's food. That means pigs, that means all things that are unclean. Because the heathens can eat anything. If you are Israelite, the law, statutes, commandments says there are only certain things you can eat. Because your body is the temple of the Ruach. If you don't follow the law, statutes, commandments, you're going to be sickly. A lot of our people are sick because of what they eat. Not because of corona, not because of anything else, not because they're poor. It's because what you eat, what you consume in your mouth, what you put in your mouth. That's the major cause for diabetes. That's the major cause for heart disease. That's the major cause for liver disease, glaucoma. All these diseases are typically diet related. And they're not typically, they are diet related, including stress. And all these diseases are related to stress, because when you don't follow the law, statutes, command, your body's not functioning. I'm talking about your diet, the dietary laws. Your body doesn't function right. So your body easily can be susceptible to stress, pressure of life. Pressure, the pressure of life just means pressure. It could be job, it could be family, it could be society, it could be these mandates. And now, you got this stress. And see, they tried to place that stress on Daniel, and they tried to place that stress on, the Hebrew boys. And you know what they told them? We're not doing it. We're not following the king's mandate. And not to follow the king's mandate meant that they could have been executed, imprisoned, and killed. And they were willing to be imprisoned, and they were willing to die to keep the laws of Elohim, regardless of what the laws of the people who had our people in captivity, as is today. Nothing new under the sun. How many of you are going to allow this new mandate that says if you don't cooperate, then you're probably going to lose your job. You're probably going to get written up, get a write-up, get reprimanded. How many of you right now are stressing out, due to that pressure? Or worse, how many of you have succumbed to that pressure? You see, Daniel and the Hebrew boys, they didn't succumb to that pressure. And the reason they didn't succumb to that pressure because they weren't worshiping Elohim at their leisure. They were worshiping Elohim. Go back and read it. 3 times a day, they were praying. I mean, they literally stopped doing whatever they were doing and they worshiped. 3 times a day. And in the meantime, they were planning to worship. Get it? So they were full-time. Elohim was a full-time, I'll use the word full-time mission for them. And a full-time mission don't mean that you go sit in some church. Quite frankly, you shouldn't be in churches. You've heard me talk about that. Has nothing to do with church. Has nothing to do with religion. It has everything to do with relationship. Your relationship with Elohim, he should constantly be on your mind, in your thoughts, in your decision making. Constantly, all the time. Because then when the enemy comes at you with his tempters, with his agents, with his demons, you'll be able to be like they were. They told them, we're not doing it. Well, they say, well, you have to do it because, you guys have important positions. Don't that sound familiar? With the mandate they're talking about right now? This is what they were told. You guys have to do it. You guys have very important positions and we need you healthy. You know what they said? Look, y'all do what y'all want to do. We're going to keep eating the Elohim's bread. That's what they said. We're going to eat our bread, Elohim's food, that he put for us to eat. And at the end of this decree, mandate, when the whole mandate, when everything is done and y'all come back to measure to see if we're healthy or unhealthy. If we're unhealthy, then we will admit it and we will accept our consequences. They didn't say they would cooperate. They said we would accept our consequences. If that means debt, so be it. That means losing their jobs, their positions, so be it. But guess what happened? They took their stand. The king said, okay, but I'm just warning you. I'm just warning you. They didn't care nothing about the king's decree. They didn't care nothing about the government decree, the global decree, the mandate that's going all around the world. They cared nothing about that. But you know what? Elohim was true to his word because they were full-time vested in their belief. And guess what? When everything had passed, they were healthier than any of the king's men. And the king's men ate the best food. And they were healthier by eating the dietary foods, the foods that our book tells us that's clean to eat, and not eating the food that are unclean. In other words, the filthy food, the food that will cause you to be sick, that has caused many of you to be sick, many of your relatives to be sick. Truth be told, you shouldn't be on any medication. None whatsoever. And if you're on medication, trust your brother on this. Go back. I think it's Deuteronomy 17 where it talks about the dietary laws. Go back and read those laws and then put those laws into practice in your life. You watch. You'll be off of high blood pressure medicine before long. Diabetes, all that stuff will go away. You'll start to drop weight if you're overweight. You'll start to get strong. Your mind will get strong. You'll become stress-free. You'll be able to handle whatever stress that comes your way. You follow me? All of your vital functions, your vital organs will start to strengthen. Some of you men who are dealing with erectile dysfunction, married men, because that's the only one that should be having sex. So, some of you married men that are dealing with erectile dysfunction, you'll find out that you'll be able to perform again. Some of you sisters who, for whatever reason, want to have a child, which is probably not the wisest thing in these days. But let's go a better way, because I don't want to promote that, because our book says, woe are those who are with child and who give suck in these days. He said, especially when winter comes. He said, pray that time that the end doesn't come in the winter. And winter is coming. So it's going to be harsh for the mothers out there who are in these, especially in these urban cities. It is going to be hard on you. I'm just telling you, fathers and mothers, you're going to be up against, because these demons are going to come at your children. Talking about these people who will want to control us. They're going to come for your children. They're going to come for you. They're going to tell your children that they don't have to obey your commands, that they just need to do what they believe is right for themselves, that they have their own mind, they have a right to choose, whether it's choosing homosexuality, whether it's choosing to allow them to put something in their bodies without the permission of their parents, because they've already passed laws that states that if you're 12, you can go and allow them to inoculate you, and y'all know what I'm talking about. And you don't have to tell your parents. And not only that, but they won't even have your parents. If your parents went to the school and say, I want to see the nurse's records of my child just to kind of see how things are going, they can hide that from your parents. There are laws in the books right now saying that schools can do that. So you're in a situation now where you got little children. It's gonna be very, very difficult if you're in these urban areas and you got your kids in these dungeons of doom, these what I want to call these temples of devils, where they're using propaganda to make your child, a slave, a labor slave for them, for the elite, teaching them how to work, teaching them how to obey, teaching them how to be, useless eaters. Just long as I can eat, long as I got a roof over my head, and long as I got some money, I'll be all right. However it comes to me. No, that's not going to save you. Our book says you can't serve Elohim in money. You need to have your focus on Elohim. But if you're serving Elohim in your leisure, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. In your leisure time, you know what happens in your leisure time? That's your goof off time. I'm going to relax. I'm tired. I'm going to take me a nap. That's your leisure time. I'm going to go to the park. I'm going to go to the movies. I'm going to watch a movie. I'm going to go visit my mom. I'm going to visit my friends. I'm going out to, for lunch. I'm going out to dinner. I'm going to have some drinks, whatever. That's leisure. Elohim's not interested in your leisure. You're all the way in or you're all the way out. And just as Daniel and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego had to take a stand against that mandate, that wicked mandate that told them to put something in their bodies that Elohim forbid for them to put in their bodies, we have to do the same thing. And we have to be as resilient as they were. God is no respecter of person. If it was expected of them, it's expected of you. It's expected of us. And again, many of you are succumbing to these laws and these mandates by these wicked people, believing their propaganda, believing their lies, not realizing that there's information out there right now because you haven't done your proper research. You're just listening to, the people who are there to intimidate you or make you afraid or give you some kind of guilt complex. You have not done your research, because if you did your research looking at the pros of, taking it versus the consequences of taking it, then you would understand that there's a big risk and that many people are going to die who took it. I mean, you got doctors out there saying this, researchers out there saying this. The reason you don't know that because you haven't taken the time to listen. You haven't taken the time to research. You're just taking the word of other people, teachers, parents, ignorant people who've done no research on their own. Your pastors, liars, or these people who have been deceived into believing that Israel, talking about the people, us, are the same as the heathens, and that we could put in our bodies what they can put in their bodies, and it will have the same effect that it's having on them on us. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. Why do you think they were always experimenting on our ancestors? Go read the book of Medical Apartheid, and you'll find out they've been experiencing when we were enslaved by these heathens. They were doing experiments on us to figure out how to get rid of ovarian cancer, sisters. They were experimenting on us on how to deal with brain tumors, my brothers. They were experimenting on us on how to do all kind of medical procedures without giving us medication to subdue us or subdue us so that we would not sedate us. That's the word, to sedate us. They were doing it, and we were screaming, and we were hollering, and some of our people were dying. Because these imbeciles, these wicked demons, were cutting on them and forcing them to put stuff in their bodies that they knew would kill them. They just wanted to see how long it would take them to die, so that they would know how much to take themselves. And you don't think history is repeating itself? You better think again. But see, if you're serving Elohim at your leisure, he'll never give this kind of clarity of thought to you. It won't happen. Because again, like I told you with the steel, you got to be hot and you got to know when to be cold. You got to know when to say yes and you got to know when to say no. Otherwise, you're going to be made the fool of. You're going to be taken advantage of, and ultimately, you're going to be destroyed. Here, in this world, and also in the world to come. Because your life don't end at death. Really, your life begins at death. And you need to keep that in your mind to reflect on how are you going to serve Elohim. Are you going to serve him with all your mind, all your heart, all of your body? Or are you just going to serve him, when you have some time? Oh, it's a holiday. Now I got to go to... Man, I hate saying this word. Church. Or to the mosque. Or to the temple. To the cemetery. Are you going to serve him, in your leisure time? Or are you going to serve him all the time? Are you going to have a relationship with him? Or are you just going to date him every now and then? Because I'm going to tell you something. When you're in a full relationship, that's called a marriage with Elohim. When you're dating, that's called associating with him. I know about him, but I don't really know him. See, that was the whole problem with Job. See, Job had heard of Elohim. And that's why Elohim allowed the wickedness to take him. Because Job had confused, rituals, sacrifices with relationship. No, when Elohim finished allowing him to go through, letting Satan really, take him down, damn near to the grave. When Job finally came into the realization that all of his woe and all of his worry did not save him, that all of his, church going and all the sacrifices he was making, all these things he was given was not going to save him, then he realized that, what? From the dust I came, from the dust I returned. Blessed be Elohim. Then Elohim said, okay, I think he gets it now. He needs to be all the way in. You can't serve me in fear. You have to serve me in faith and belief and in honor and integrity and consistently. Then his relationship went from a knowledge of Elohim to being able to see Elohim. Knowledge is your leisure. Seeing is your believing, is your walk, is your talk, is your action, my brothers and sisters. And you will never know the power. You will never know the strength, the joy that we who serve him 24/7 know. You'll always look at us as though we're the weirdos, we're the odd ones in, we're the anomalies, we're the, we're the religious ones, we're the kooks, whatever terms they use, overdoing it. Because you don't know what we have. Because you don't have it. Because I can assure you, if you had what we have, you would be just like us. And you would do just like those Hebrew boys. You would say, debt won't keep, like what they didn't say. Well, they did say that only debt would keep them from. They didn't know. They said nothing would keep them from Elohim. Nothing. And if you kill me, kill me. If I die, I die. I was thinking about Nettie in Color Purple when she said only debt could keep her from Sealy. Well, what can keep you from Elohim? Debt. Debt will keep you from Elohim. You mean when I die, DFG? No, I'm talking about many of you are dead men walking, dead women walking right now because you think you have a relationship. See, there's a way that seems right. You think you have a relationship with Elohim, but you don't. Because if you had a relationship with Elohim, then you would be more than willing to obey Elohim. Again, it's better to obey than to sacrifice. You're going to church. You listen to your gospel music. You're listening to your preacher, your pastor. And you think that's serving Elohim. No, you're serving him. You're serving the artist. Whoever sung that song, that's who you're serving. Whoever preached that sermon, that's who you're serving. Whoever the head of that church, that's who you're serving. A mosque, temple, wherever these devils are that draw Elohim's people in there and lure them to sleep. That's who you're serving. But see, when you're on a full-time, relationship with Elohim, you don't need any of that. And Elohim will guide you. He will bring you, to those like you. You follow me? And then you will see the power and the joy in the relationship that is necessary to overcome this wicked world. Then you will be counted in the elect of Elohim. And that's what I want for you. A lot of times, you'll hear, and I do want it for you. I want it for me more than I want it for you. I ain't going to tell you that lie. I'm not going to lie about it. I don't practice lying. I want it more for me than I want it for anybody. But I want it for you too. I want it for the people that I respect, the people that I honor, the people that have my covering, the people that I love. I don't love them more than Elohim, but I do love them. I want it for you too. And that's how you have to feel about it. All of us have to feel that way. The book says, love not the world. Again, neither the things of the world. Any man that have the love of this world or the things of this world, including the holidays, celebrations, festivities, have not their church, their religion. He said, the love of Elohim is not in them. Elohim has to be your full-time job, not some leisure, that you go to whenever you got some time, when you're not too busy, before you go to bed. I pray every night before I go to bed. I pray every morning before I get up, or when I get up. Elohim ain't interested in that. That's all you got. That's all you're willing to give. He gave you life. He gave you a chance. He's giving you love, and all you got for him is when you have some time when you have some free time, when I think about it. So I'm going to remind you again, don't be deceived. Again, a lot of these messages that I bring forward, they may seem harsh, but they're not really harsh. You're just hearing it wrong. You see, the true believer, they don't feel like these messages are harsh. They don't feel like my language is strong. They like, go, keep going. Because they understand that like a bucket of cold water on a person that's unconscious. Ice water to shock them and bring them back, hopefully. They understand that those words have that intention. Those words are not to scatter you. Those words are to gather you. When I use those strong words, it's to gather you in. Only the weak get scattered abroad. The unbeliever. Those who are serving Elohim with their emotions instead of serving Elohim with their whole body. Again, are you a leisure believer, which makes you lukewarm? In essence, deceived with no relationship. That at least no relationship. You might think you have a relationship. Elohim is not counting you. You're not counted amongst the elect if you're serving him in your leisure. Again, he said you have to love him with all your heart, all your mind, and all your strength. All your mind means what? What does all your mind mean? You might say, well, that means with full dedication. Okay, what does full dedication look like? What does full dedication look like? If you're fully dedicated to something, do you do it every now and then? Do you think about it every now and then? Or are you consumed with it because you're fully dedicated? When you're fully dedicated, you are consumed with it. Not obsessed, consumed. Throughout your day, you're seeking ways to be pleasing unto him and to do his will. Throughout your day, you're seeking to grow in the knowledge of who he is so that you can grow in the knowledge of what you should be doing to be that light, for those who are seeking him, sincerely seeking him. Again, not seeking him for self-edification, self-gratification, but seeking him because they understand the importance that the life they live here is going to determine the life they live when they leave here. So, again, are you going to allow the same, I'm going to use this word so you can better understand me, some of you. Are you going to use the same, you're going to allow the same spirit that was in Daniel when he denied the king and refused to honor the king and got thrown in the lion's den? In other words, he got a death sentence. Are you gonna let that spirit rule you? Or are you gonna be like the Hebrew boys who got thrown in the fire? Forgot. Didn't forget, but I forgot to mention. That was the consequence of them disobeying. They got thrown in the fire. Are you going to let that same spirit be in you where you're willing to go into the fire? Deal with whatever the consequences will be, the judgment on you will be for not obeying the mandate, the current mandate here. Like they had to obey the current mandate there. They refused to obey that mandate. And they were thrown in the fiery furnace. Remember that? Right? So that means you have to be willing to lose everything if you have the same spirit in you that they had. And guess what? Elohim don't have two different spirits. Satan has many spirits. The gods of this world have many spirits. There's only one true Elohim, only one true Ruhuk. And that Ruhuk does not change. So if that Ruhuk caused them to reject man's laws, man's mandates, and they had to serve Elohim properly, we are required to do the exact same thing from that very same spirit that told them to do it, protected them when they did it, that's telling you to do it, and that will protect you when you obey it. And that is the truth. And if you succumb to the pressure, then you have no one to blame but yourself. You're not going to be able to blame your employer. You're not going to be able to blame, your governor, your mayor, your mama, your brother, whoever told you to do it, because, you felt like if you didn't do it, they weren't going to let you come around them no more. And you didn't, you knew that Elohim would understand. Well, why couldn't Daniel say, well, Elohim gonna understand if I stop praying and I just honor the king? He said, because that's in other words, I'm supposed to obey the governments of this world, which is a lie. That's something that wrote in the New Testament. You'll never see that. And in our book, it says you should not have a stranger telling you what to do. That is a lie. They wrote that in there to deceive us. Talking about obey the governments. That's a lie. We don't blame them. Why would we be obeying wicked demon-ass, Baal worshiping governments? Same ones who promote homosexuality, abortions, etc. Why in the hell would we be obeying those governments? Think about that. You serious? So obey Satan so we can please Elohim? Now you know that makes no sense. You know that makes absolutely no sense. Now you can believe that lie if you want to. You can be deceived by that foolishness if you want to, but Yah is going to hold you 100% accountable for you making the decisions because you wanted to obey man instead of trusting him. Daniel understood that. Even if that meant him getting thrown to lions. The Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, they understood that even if that meant them getting thrown into a fiery furnace. Because you know what the book says? Yeah, they got through in that furnace, and they looked down there, and the people who threw them in there, some of them fell in there, and their asses burned up, by the way. See, all those people doing wickedness against you, sisters and brothers, just remember this. Yah going to destroy them. So don't worry about them. Don't let them mess up your day. Yah, if you're walking full time with Elohim, he's going to destroy your enemies. He said, vengeance is mine, I will repay. That's what he said. He said, I'm going to get vengeance on their ass. If you're not in a position to deal with them because they have a, worldly authority in terms of being able, to control your, as far as, just your supervisors, people that you work with and, things like that. I'm not talking about people who make you disobey the commandments. I'm just talking about those devils that are around you every day causing mayhem. Elohim's going to deal with them. But just like the Hebrew boys, when they were in that that heat burning furnace, and they got thrown in there, when those men who threw them in there, some of them fell in there, just like Yah said, when these who are bothering us, Elohim going to deal with them. So don't be afraid of them. But guess what else? They say when they look down in there, those who did not fall in that fiery furnace, they say, hey, didn't we throw 3 of them down there? Where that 4th one came from? 1, 2, 3, 4. But we threw in 3. And they're still alive. Where did that 4th one come from? Hey, that 4th one was Elohim. It was his root. He was an angel of Elohim down there with him. No weapon formed against you will prosper if you're serving full time. Okay? Your brother loves you. Don't get it twisted. I mean, when I know some of you say, I don't mean you're taking it the wrong way. In other words, I care for you. It's why I'm here. Amen? I'm sure I was born to do what I'm doing. And I will hope and pray that Elohim will allow me to die doing what I'm doing. And I'm doing it for us. All right? Just so you know, I'm doing it for us. But I'm commanded of Elohim that it, to do it for us. And I have no problem with his commandments. I love the fact that he chose me to be a part of the many who serve him, many of the laborers who bring forth his word. I am humbly pleased. But again, it has to be understood. Some of the strong words are to break these yokes, to get you to come out. If you're running, then pray that Yah will give you strength not to run. How about that? And for you who are standing, again, he didn't forsake Daniel. Them lions' mouth was shut. He did not forsake the Hebrew boys. That fire could not even did anything, didn't scorch a hair on their heads. The ones who fell in there, the ones who put them in there, who set the traps, their ass fell in there. See, those who are telling you to take this thing, and they took it, watch what's going to happen. Give it about 6 months to a year. Give it about 2 or 3 years, watch what's going to happen. If it's those of us who didn't do it, or who know that we'll die before we do it, watch. We're going to be just as healthy, clear of thought, and everything else if Yah tarries 2 or 6 months or a year or 2 years from now. We're gonna be even stronger. And those who are weak, that's what they're going to look for, us. I don't mean weak who gave in. I'm talking about those who, just need that encouragement. They're going to come our way. Because they're going to know, hey, let's go find DFG. Let's go find Michelle Hammond. Let's go find the Hammonds. And there are others out there. Some of you I know, Remy, R-E-M-E, right? Sister Claire out there. Who else out there? You know what I'm saying? A couple of the brothers who, you comment out, I don't see you too often, so I don't always know you're out there, but I know you're out there, Rick and some of your brothers. You follow me? I hope you're walking. I hope you're standing. I hope you're taking these words and putting them in action. But us, you follow me? And those of us we don't know. Yeshua said there's some who are with me that you don't know they're with me. But they're there too. I'm talking to you too. Stand strong. Stay the course. Don't serve Elohim like the world serves Elohim in their leisure when there's a special occasion to do it. You serve him all the time. Amen? And he will be there with you all the time. Amen? And when you leave here, he's going to say to you, when you go before his court, well done, my good and faithful servant. You were obedient, with a few things. Now I'm going to make you a queen, a king, princess, prince over many things. All right? Again, and just as a quick little reminder, don't eat the king's bread. Remember we talked about the talking code? All right? The king's bread is poison for Israel. I'm talking about for so-called black people, Israel, Judah. The king's bread is poison for us. Don't eat the king's bread. Just trust Elohim. Get healthy by following the dietary laws, and you'll be just fine. I know it. Amen? DFG, talk to you later. Bye now.